Yolanda Garza Birdwell, te saludamos de nuevo. Bienvenida a Houston. Tienes tu casa con nuestra familia. Yolanda, we have so many topics to cover because you've had a very interesting life, and you still do. But to be clear, this interview is connected to the Sembradores de Aztlan Oral History Project that is part of our Museo Guadalupe Aztlan annual events. So, de nuevo, Yolanda, bendiciones a ti y tu familia. Y gracias a tu hijo Juan for allowing us to have this interview here. So, Yolanda, I want to broach the following question. There is a painting before us that Gregory Salazar painted for you, right? Can you tell us how the idea came up that Gregory painted this work for you?
Certainly, but first of all, I wanted to acknowledge and thank you very much, Medel, and also the young man, Kevin Delgado, for visiting us here at the location of the Museum District in Houston, where I live in West University for almost 40 years. And now I came back here to visit with my granddaughter and my only son, and it has given me the opportunity to meet you. And I wanted to acknowledge also and thank the Guadalupe Aztlan group for trying to capture our history. Thank you. Also, at this opportunity, because I could not be sitting here if it was not for the support of several people, such as Gloria Guardiola, who was part of MAYO, a great woman who did some of her study in Boston, Massachusetts. Also, Walter Birdwell, my soulmate for 50 years and 1 month. And thanks to them, I am able to be a minimalist and also at the same time enjoy the best is offered within the economic system. And yes, if it were not for Gregory Salazar, Walter Birdwell, Gloria Guardiola, and many more people, and like you, Medel, Gregorio, because Walter and I decided back after they killed Martin Luther King, decided to get involved in the movement. And we joined MAYO. And Gregorio was a leader member of MAYO. And we spent a lot of time together. He was a great artist, a great speaker. And also, he offered me this painting. He did this painting for me and gave it to me for my birthday. He also designed a whole wall in our guest room with his painting. It was part of the discovering. Of course, I'm talking about 1970, 71, where the Mexicans here were even more neglected than they are now, in my opinion. So what we did is join MAYO, which allow us to be activists. We made mistakes, obviously, but we were resisting and rejecting racism. And as it turns out, this group of people, which was not very acceptable by some groups because they considered us, they gave us a lot of labels, among them that we were non-desirable, communists, etc. But in reality, we were able at least to bring up the issue that they could not ignore us anymore because we were able to disrupt. That's all we did. We disrupt. So that's what I can tell you. So one of my best privileges was being Mexican from my agriculture background is to exchange information like with Gloria Guardiola and Gregorio Salazar.
So, Yolanda, how did the idea of this painting first came up? In what context? Where did Gregorio or where did you give Gregorio the request to do this work for you?
We were like brothers and sisters. And I remember a group, ladies were very scandalized because I was the oldest woman, I think, and also the one that was able to travel with a lot of young people. And I remember coming from a conference in Dallas, and I say, they were trying to criticize us for being too radical. And we say, no, these people, the Mayo people are very nice and they are not chauvinistic. Actually, we slept in the same room. We did sleep in the same room because of economics to save money. But in reality, that was interpreted as being that I was not a very nice woman because I slept with a lot of young people. But we shared the room, obviously. So the idea, Gregorio, it was his idea. Gregorio liked me. I like Gregorio. Actually, we love each other. We love Gloria. It was a lot of love among the group. And we, without saying it, we practiced the idea of never hurting each other. But we did develop. Poncho Ruiz was another young man, and another young man that I don't remember his name. There was a small group of people. Whatever decisions, we decide them among ourselves, and then we put the idea to the rest of the group. So it was love. It was love.
So to be clear, there was a University of Houston Mayo chapter, and then there was a Barrio Mayo chapter, correct? And you belong to the Barrio Mayo chapter. Okay. Going back to the painting, Yolanda, did you pose for this painting, or did he just use his memory?
His memory.
Okay.
He just used his memory, and like I say, we spend a lot of time drinking wine. Some people drink beer, and we socialize, and it was his idea. And the reason you have to understand, and obviously with the years I have learned a little bit more. When you receive so much rejection by the media that we are completely ignored until lately, that some people like yourselves are filming us, hearing our voices, we were ignored completely. We did not have in Houston a person represent us at the school board until Leonel Castillo, until we disrupted the school board. And of course we got arrested. But what I'm saying is that necessity, and also we were lucky. I was lucky because, like I say, Gregorio, at the time of his death, he was gay. He went to Cuba. He ran for the school board, got a lot of second votes, and he also, his last memorial was here, a few blocks away, at the Rocco chapter here at the Mandel, in the Manil section. So Gregorio was able to navigate the world of politics being non-conventional and saying, yes, I like to go to Cuba. Yes, he went. Yes, I'm gay. And me, I was able to be, yes, married. Yes, happily married. And also being able to be with young people. So yes, my life I was very happy, and I'm going to be 80 years old this year, and I'm closing doors in Houston. And I have to confess that I am now a minimalist that only expends the necessary. And I am able to report that I have completely rejected to vote for Joe Biden as president, and I also have decided not to eat meat anymore. So even at my age, I can still make changes. I do not subscribe to mainstream media. I avoid it. And I do believe, and also not associate with mainstream intellectuals. And there's a lot of them in the Mexican-American community, unfortunate. They like to be within the system. Yes, remember, capitalism came from feudalism, and it was changed. And capitalism is going to be changed. And it's not a big deal. It's just a system, and it's not working. As we can see now by the pandemic, where is the status of the United States? I don't have to repeat it. It's the worst. Where is the inequality when a company like Amazon makes $10,000 per minute or second? I'm not sure of that figure right now. And where are the Mexicans? Here in where I am, at the Manil, very close to the museums, I walk every morning, and guess who I see every morning? My Mexicans working. And they say hello to me, buenos días, buenas tardes, me saludan y todo. We are the necessary workers. So what I'm saying is that I have been able, thanks to Walter and my approach of economics, because that is what I'm going to do, is that I am rejecting colonization. I will reject it. It's a joke to promote the Republicans and the Democrats, or maybe mainly the Democrats, to promote the immigrants to come here when we are the ones that goes, United States is the one that goes and stabilizes the countries in Latin America. It's a business, and then they put them in jail and they make $100 a night. It's a racket. It is exploitation. And I will be, until I die, against that.
So to conclude on this part, Yolanda, this is a self-portrait of you.
Yes.
Okay. And this was done by Gregorio Salazar.
In 1971.
1971, okay.
The day before my birthday.
Okay. With regards to the painting, there is a possibility that you may donate it to our museum, Yolanda?
Yes.
Okay.
I have to study what I have traveled a lot. I have traveled a lot to socialist countries, okay. Cuba, China, Russia. Yes, they're going through some dramas. Palestine, Gaza, Petra, Germany, Peru, a lot of countries. But I have also associated with the very best, the most advanced people in those countries, and an organization and focus and agenda. So if I find that at least this painting could be used to teach people that Gregorio was able, from your area, from the north side, a working class man, young man, was able to navigate at the time in the United States, it is good. And so I would like for people just to see it. I'm not saying that they have to agree with Gregorio's life. I didn't understand all aspects of. I'm not an artist, but I love it that he was able to do it. And so yes, if you fit the criteria, I will give it to you.
Gracias, Yolanda. You mentioned Gregorio as doing another work for you, or you bought some work for him. Can you visually describe that other piece that you mentioned?
It's also a painting, very abstract, that he did for me, and I have it. I'm trying to close doors because of my age, and try to give it to people. And it has a poem in the back because Gregory was Gregory. I was so fortunate to meet the most brightest people in the United States at the time of the movement. So I am forever very grateful to the MAYO organization, and I'm very sorry that the mainstream intellectuals did not embrace the MAYO leadership. Some of them are very smart and they have the right idea, like Raza, like the third party. That was a good idea, and it needed to be embraced. But of course, for every 4 people, there is one CIA or FBI, and they demolish it. However, I hope that it comes back.
Muchas gracias, Yolanda, for the insights that you're giving us, especially in regards to this self-portrait of you done by Gregorio Salazar, a former MAYO member. Con permiso. Yolanda Garza Birdwell, buenas tardes. We're here in Houston, Texas. You're taking part of the Sembradores de Aztlan Oral History Project that we started here in Houston. That's part of Museo Guadalupe Aztlan. And the topic that I want to cover at this time, Yolanda, is your participation in La Conferencia de Mujeres por la Raza that took place in May of 1971 in Houston, Texas. And I understand it took place at the YMCA, correct, on navigation?
Yes.
Okay. Yolanda, briefly tell me, how did that idea first surface?
Okay. I was not part of the forming of where the location of the conference. I was not part of that. I was approached by Gloria Guardiola, who was much more involved with Elma Barrera and other women groups, to develop a plan, to develop a workshop. And again, as I was a MAYO member and working in the community, the idea developed between Gloria and I and Gregorio and others. Leo Tanguma, an artist who did the printing for our pamphlet that was Destruction of Myths and Formation of New Thinking. That was the name of the pamphlet, which I think I have a copy, one copy that I can provide for you. It is in English and Spanish, and it covers several subjects, many subjects, and including obviously the issue of racism, the issue of economics, labor, politics, and more. And we did have extensive conversations in reference to sex. And so our conference was, when we presented the pamphlet, which Leo Tanguma did the design, I think he moved to another state. He's not in Texas. Was very well attended. In fact, it was attended by the owner of Ninfa Lorenzo. She did not speak, but she was present. The conference, remember, 1971, and like I say, I was not in the planning of who was to attend, but I was part of it. Unfortunately, developed as now the same thing. We have forces with different agendas that came up. Looking back, people thought that it was not very good, but looking back, I say it was good. It represented that our position, because like you mentioned, it was very significant that it was the first conference of Chicanas in the United States that came about. So for that reason, I want to thank everyone, including those that were against our point of view. Wonderful. You did an excellent job. This is what happens when you have a community that has been silenced for a long time. Yes, we are going to be disorganized. We are going to be with different agendas. We do not know how to do things, but it took place. Did I learn a lot about that conference? Of course. We were labeled a little scandalous because, yes, we did cover incest, infidelity, church issues, how the church manipulation has retarded our development. We covered a lot of things. So I was very happy that I participated, and in fact, a professor from Los Angeles, Blackwell, I forgot the name right now, she wrote a book, Chicano, and I'm in that book. Like I say, many people were against it or were objecting to the agenda, but I'm glad it took place.
So if I'm correct, Yolanda, this was a 3-day conference, right? Starting on the 28th of May to the 30th. Give us more in-depth information of how you begin to organize your thoughts. Where did that take place, and what were some of the other thoughts, other than the ones that you mentioned, that you think were very significant and unprecedented in regards to Chicana thoughts?
Well, I remember actually, obviously, I was not able to attend the other workshops, but I understand, and by the feedback, which we got a lot of messages. We asked people to give us their input in writing. Our real workshop was better attended or well attended, among the best attended in the conference. Why? Because yes, as I mentioned it, and it has been my practice, and Gloria and Gregorio, and there was a group of people that we decided not to be conventional. We do not want to be like gatekeepers that are now, that they want to keep the system. Yes, they want a little bit here, a little bit there, but they don't want to get to the root of the problem. And we know that the root of the problem are that we were colonized, and with the colonization, the Spanish and then later on the United States, they promoted patriarchism, and we still have it. Now, this present situation that we have a lot of problems with abuse of women. We still have. Why was I happy? Yes, I was happy I did not realize that writing that pamphlet was going to be so significant. The only thing I regret now that I have to say is that we use a song by Bob Dylan, which I like very much, his original songs. The times are changing, and now I have to reject him because he has become a Zionist. He supports the occupation of Palestine. So in that way, my little pamphlet is not that, it needs to be reviewed. And I need to say, yes, he was great and I love him, but not the way he is now, like many artists that go and sell themselves, not like Walters, the Rolling Stone, or the artist that supports Palestine and is against Zionism. So for that reason, another situation is that I learned in Cuba is I was very Catholic Church, and the Cubans taught me not to be too strong, to go slower. So I learned that. So those are regrets that I have to, or things that I have to correct. I'm not saying that I approve what the Catholic Church does, because it's an institution that says that there is a saying that says the religion is what keeps the working class from killing the rich.
So going back to the 3-day conference, Yolanda, who were some of the other intellectuals that presented? Because I'm gathering that this was one of the first conferences where we had intellectuals that were part of the Chicana movement. Who were some of the other presenters that you remember?
We concentrated in our workshop, and it was very demanding because we have a lot of visitors in our booth. I do remember people, the women's groups, and I forget her name, but she has made some videos in reference to that. I remember Elma Barrera, who was a woman that was a news person, newscast, an announcer. And I remember the other lady from MAYO, from MAYO University, the person that you mentioned, Maria Jimenez. Obviously, as you can see now, looking back, that conference was like a laboratory. If you're going to study and analyze what went on, put it back here right now, and we still have the same phenomena. People are still holding to things that do not work, to issues that do not work anymore. And that's going to be where it's going to defining point. I know there were people from California wanted to be disrupted, or part of the disrupted the conference at one point, and I was asked to address it, and it didn't come down. It didn't come the group that was being disrupted. I do know one thing that I can elaborate in the future if necessary, but the Democratic Party, a lot of people want to hold back to the same things that have worked perhaps in some issues. I'm not saying that they have not contributed, but some people are just too dogmatic and too drastic. We need to look around at other areas, at other institutions, at other countries that are doing better than we are doing here. We are the richest country in the world, and we still have the biggest problem. And I wanted to say, I am very sorry for the people that are dying, but now I feel so good, if you can see me, I feel so good that what I was saying years ago, 30 years ago, they thought that I was crazy. Look at now. We were actually very conservative. The U.S. system does not work.
Thank you, Yolanda, for this insightful interview. To our knowledge, this is the first person that we've interviewed who attended and presented at this conference. And to be clear, we're talking about La Conferencia de Mujeres por la Raza that took place May the 28th to the 30th in 1971 in Houston, Texas. Thank you for your contributions, Yolanda.
Thank you.
Yolanda, buenas tardes. We're here in Houston, and we're at your son's house, Juan, ¿verdad? Juan. We're doing this interview in relation to the Sembradores de Aztlan Oral History Project that is part of Museo Guadalupe Aztlan, and I'm thrilled that you are here in Houston, que estás en buena salud, that you're in good health. So the subject that I want to broach right now, Yolanda, is your husband, deceased husband, Walter Birdwell. He made major contributions to the Chicano community, Chicano politics, and he was and he still is part of you. Tell us about Walter's poetic inclinations, if I could use that word.
Oh, thank you very much. Walter was an artist. He worked with. He was a poet, and he published. We have been there. We have been in Laguna Vista now for 10 years. We moved from Houston, and he also had a farm in Missouri, where he developed a lot of work with rocks and wood. And so this is a book. This is a book that has been with all his art work, and the poetry has been some of his poetry was published in a magazine in Missouri, the Missouri Sugar, I believe, and then also the Poets of the Rio Grande. The reason I want to honor Walter is because I lived with him for 50 years and 1 month, and we have our last wedding anniversary, and I have this for my wedding anniversary, esta corona. Was because when we got married, I had not a very good first marriage, and then I married Walter, and we decided to have a non-conventional marriage, and it worked. It worked because we combined it with what we wanted to do as human beings, and also to share life. And he understood that even though he also was from a farm background, at least he owned a farm, and I also was coming from farm background, that I have had, coming from Tamaulipas, less opportunities to navigate a larger urban area. So he worked extra and saved money for me to travel to different countries, and that gave me a lot of insight.
Yolanda, do you remember some of the titles of the poems that he wrote, and where are those poems at currently?
I have copies of all his poems. I have copies of all the articles that he wrote and published in Brownsville, because we went to the Rio Grande with an agenda to work to try to politicize, and we did create 2 organizations when we were there, Respeta tu Playa, Levanta la Basura, and we work on implementing the first Earth Day in Laguna Vista, and he was part of the ethics committee at Laguna Vista, Walter, and I was part of the parks department. Why did we go that conventional? Because we wanted to meet the people in the area. I got a certification to be English as a second language, and I was able to connect with a lot of immigrant community. So yes, I have established, in 10 years, we established what we can do. I do have that information. I have the paperwork. I also have 10,000 pages of the FEI on me, on Yolanda, and I also have 500 pages of the FEI on Walter. And the reason Walter got an FEI, I think, was because he originally was trained as a Army intelligence, and he was assigned to Texas to review the SDS in the University of Texas. And obviously, that's what he was supposed to do, but he was given extra curriculum, and he was the first person in Houston to declare as a whistleblower, where he says he was asked to spy on the Unitarian Church, on graves, on Barbara Jordan. I don't know if, those are old active, old political people, but liberals or Democrats. So Walter, when he married me, he was that, but then he changed and was against the Army intelligence, spying on civilians. And obviously, you know the rest. Walter became a very active anti-imperialist, anti-war, and he was also a member of the Veterans for Peace. So that is the reason that we were able to function. The only thing that we are among minimalists is that we like to travel. That's something that we do not, we do spend money on traveling. And I miss him. He told me, and we had a commitment that I was helping him not to go out of this planet, in a good way. And now I'm trying to close doors in Houston, and this is part of the issue, is to give papers or things that items that I'm not going to use when I leave the planet, because the next generation is going to have much more challenges than we do. I do hope that people question and that read alternative books like Eduardo Galeano, Open Veins of Latin America, Juan Gonzalez, Harvest of Empire, Rodolfo Acuña, Rosario Castañeda, Sor Juana Inés de la Cruz, Howard Zinn, and a lot of people that have, or even read what Gregory says, or read what Walter said in different topics on different areas.
At the current time, Yolanda, our museum is presenting a course every Thursday at 7 p.m. on Zoom.com, and that course is titled The Chicano Museum Experience in Literature. When time allows, and if you make that possible for our museum, we would like to get a copy of those articles and those, especially the poems that Walter wrote. I have one more question about, 2 more questions about Walter. The first question is, how did that relationship develop within MAYO? Because he was a member of MAYO. The second question that I have in relation to that is, you and Walter were arrested one time. Tell us, give us more details about how that happened and why that happened.
Actually, we were arrested 4 times, never for any crimes of robbery, drinking, or everything was political. How was the relationship? Not easy. Unfortunately, Walter's family, with the exception of the father and mother, has only one brother, and they are on the other side of the political spectrum. Living in West University was very nice, because the trees are beautiful. They remind us of his farm and my farm. But I was wearing braids, trenzas, and at one time a woman asked me which house I was working for. They thought I was a maid. They didn't think I was an owner of a house. So I answered that I was sleeping with the owner, which I was. So racism, and then obviously we were, I want to say it's very important, and this is very, Mickey Leland. Do you remember Mickey Leland? Yes. Okay. Mickey Leland, before he became a congressman, we used to socialize because he had a girlfriend that we knew, and he bought ice cream for us. We were paying a mortgage, so we didn't have very much money. And we were friends, and Mickey Leland, before he became political, was among the group to focus on having alliance with blacks, Mexicans, and whites. And we did. We had an organization like that in Houston.
What was that organization?
I forgot. I don't know if it was John Brown or something, but it was. That was after I was still in Mayo when they killed Hamilton here in Houston, when a black man was killed. And actually, he was killed, and Walter had lent him a gun. We lost the gun in that battle. So. Yes, we were arrested, but like I say, never for anything that I'm not proud. I'm very proud that I was arrested. Actually, I am very glad that those don't like me, my politics, because now I am right, and they were wrong. It's not so good to be so married to the ideas that don't work. So that's...
Excuse me, Yolanda. Would you briefly tell us those 4 events that happened in which you and Walter were arrested? Can you give us a chronology of those, please, and where that took place?
Okay. I went to a meeting, and I was very active, and I was very outspoken, as I am now still. And I was given a report by a student that reported a teacher was very racist towards Mexicans. What a surprise, right? I went to a public meeting, and I exposed this teacher by name. I believe her name was Monroe, but my memory. And they dig out, she got fired, whatever problems she was having. And then they came, the first time I was arrested is they dig out a law that had not been used in 100 years to attack me for impeding her to make a living. That's what I was arrested, at my first arrest. The second was when we, at the school, of course, it was dismissed because, and I was rearrested the same day. And in Pasadena, Texas, 2 blacks from the Ku Klux Klan office. It was horrible to live in Houston. At least now African Americans are in leadership. So the second time it was because they did not let us speak at the school board. And we asked them. Leonel Castillo was very nice and very organized and very good in solidarity. He was not a Mayo. He was just a political, Mr. Castillo, Leonel Castillo. He requested us to put in the agenda to speak. They did not let us. We decided to get on top of the table and disrupt the whole thing. And we were arrested for that too.
And that was Houston Independent School District?
Absolutely, absolutely. And there were no Chicanos, and then after that, Leonel Castillo got into, or a Chicano, I believe it was Leonel. The other time it was because of, the other time it was because of the bookstore issue, a bookstore. We used to have a bookstore in Houston associated with Mao Zedong. Mao Zedong. We were celebrating or honoring his death, and 12 Ku Klux Klan approached us with guns, and my husband shot the Ku Klux Klan. But of course, we had a right because they attacked us, and he was free.
And where was this demonstration at, the bookstore?
It was on Main Street. Main and Elgin. Main and Elgin.
In Houston, Texas.
Yes, in Houston, Texas. And we, again, look at me, I'm fine. I did get arrested. They accused us. We went to court, and then they dropped the charges because we were paying taxes. We had our business. The Ku Klux Klan had no right not to like us, to like Mao Tse-tung. So that's what it was.
Muchas gracias, Yolanda, for this wonderful insights that you've given us today. Hopefully, there'll be some more interviews coming up if time allows on your part. Pero con permiso y a que llegue sana y salva a tus destinos.
Oh, thank you.
Y our condolences on Walter.
Oh, my darling.
Sí, sí.
Thank you.
Con permiso.